We needed a kicking competition to split these two teams. What an epic quarterfinal. My name's Mark. Let's talk rugby. Yeah, 80 minutes, teams even, 20 more minutes, 100 minutes total, teams still even, had to go to a kicking contest. Maybe, in terms of the attacks on display, maybe not as exciting as some of the other semi-final or quarterfinal, that we've seen this weekend. But in terms of tension, this had it all, just absolutely ratcheted up all the way through, and then to finish with those kicks as well. Absolutely brilliant entertainment there. And, we actually start the night with a tribute to a young Sharks player, Abraham Reneke, I think the guy's name is. And sadly, he died this week, I think. And he was a young Sharks player. So, very kind of, sorry for that. Condolences to his family, friends, all the Sharks family, etc. Not really nice, when you have something like that happening to a young player. It's not a good thing. We talked about Colonel Hendricks as well, losing his life, at a relatively young age too. And it's just a terrible thing to see lives being cut short like that. But, nice moment of silence before the game. And I'm sure, the Sharks players will dedicate that win to his memory as well. But into the game. So early on, bit of an arm wrestle. Both teams trying to get themselves in the ascendancy. Sharks win a scrum penalty. That then becomes a theme of the entire quarterfinal, really. And they got a line out on the edge of 22, but then they knock on as they try to move it. Another theme of this game really was Sharks handling errors. Munster then break from their own 22. Kilgannon gets them going first. Then they recycle and move it wide left. And Kilgannon then surges into the 22. He recycled, and Crowley cross kicks for Nash to collect. A bouncing ball goes over to score. Converted from out wide by Crowley, 7 points to 0. Munster, really good start from them. Then they work it to win 5 meters of the Sharks line. They go to their big carrier. Sharks, though, getting off the line to stop them, but they don't roll away. So Crowley then misses an absolute gimme kick, that he should have slotted. Some people might say, oh, if you had got that, Munster could have won the game. But I've said it, so many times before, that if he gets that kick, it changes the complete trajectory of the rest of the game. Because, at points where the Sharks are 1 point behind, one score behind, maybe they're two scores behind, and then that changes whether they kick for the post or the corner, etc. So you can't really say, especially so early in the game, that missing that kick would cost them the win. But from here, then Crowley then puts in the great kick over top. Sharks with a pressure line out on their own 22. Strong carry though from Oxenchain allows Jaden Hendricks to clear. Sharks then trying to get a foothold, but it really is like the hands letting them down, as they're running the ball, just lots of handling errors. But Ethan Hooker makes a break, brushes off a couple of tackles, and then he tries to kick in behind, but actually misses the ball. But still, it's a bit more threat from the Sharks. And Ethan Hooker, I thought, was absolutely excellent tonight. He's been so good this season. And the guy, every time I see him, he's just getting better and better. Sharks then have a chance to get into good position as Nash is pinged for blocking from a kick. But Jordan Hendricks misses touch. Esterhazen then charges down Crowley, but Casey recovers it well. And Munster able to clear. Game absolutely on a knife edge. Sharks then on top of the scrum. They go for the post from a penalty for Archer collapsing. Jordan Hendricks off target with the kick. Sharks then coming forward. And then, it's Hooker and Mapimpi with really good carries. And again, two players who really stood out tonight. They work it within 10 metres, but then Munster's defence starts driving them back. They try to kick over the top, but Abrahams claims it, and Crowley is able to kick clear. Then the Sharks come back through another incisive run from Mapimpi. They're 5 metres out, but Byrne does brilliantly. He gambles, intercepts a pass, and then Munster can clear. Sharks then attack off a line out. Esterhazen bends the line as they surge into 22, but then Nche knocks on as they go wide. Sharks now with more territory, but handling errors, that they're making in the first 20 minutes in their own half. Now they're making the same errors, but in the Munster half instead, in the final 20 minutes of the half. And they don't get over by half time. It's 7-0. Into the second half, then Sharks attacking early in the half. Some nice kicks in behind. One leads to a pressure line out for Munster, but Sharks drive early. Penalty to Munster. There's another twist though, as Fassi acrobatically, can't even read my own bloody notes, acrobatically keeps it in play when Crowley was kicking up the line. Sharks then, they're probing at that Munster defence. Chutuka gets his hands free and offloads to Hooker on the right wing. He then slaloms and then cuts inside on a 45-degree angle. Has the pace to get under the post. What an absolutely brilliant finish from him. Converted for 7 points all. And that really was one of the moments that sparked the Sharks in this game as well, because it looked like they weren't going to get anything going. Sharks then beginning to look more dangerous on attack. Chutuka with a lovely out the back of the hands pass to set Mapimpi away into 22, but again they knock it on. They do though come back, get within a couple of metres. Munster hold them out, but they're offside. Then Jaden Hendrickse, it was Jordan Hendrickse, was it? Yeah, he kicks the penalty for the Sharks, 10-7. Munster then, time for them to come back. Strong carries from Coombs and Byrne. Then Farrell goes through a gap out to Nash. He cuts back inside. Ball recycled. Casey finds Wycherley, who goes over to score. Wycherley actually injures himself in the act of scoring and actually gets to go off shortly after. He was only just on the pitch. Converted for 14-10. Munster then strike from a line out. They work it to the left edge, and Grubber kicking behind Mapimpi, who's been brilliant. He's covering, but he slips over. The ball bounces over. Kilgannon gets to the ball first. Dotted down, converted by Crowley for 21-10. Sharks then win a penalty, go to the corner. Munster disrupt the maul, but illegally so. Sharks back into the corner. Munster stopped the maul dead. Even with the backs coming in, Sharks move the ball. They're right on the line, and they win another penalty in the shadow of the post. Sharks opt for a scrum. They win a penalty from the scrum. Then they move it from another dominant scrum. Munster run out of defenders as Fassi goes over. Converted for 21 points to, 17, right? Yeah. Then Munster, they get pinged at the breakdown. Sharks have a chance to kick into about 10 metres out. They go off the top. Esterhazen on the crash ball. They move it quickly to Mbata, and he goes over to score. Converted. Sharks now leading 24-21. Then a deliberate knock on from Hendrickse, and Munster up to kick for the post. Murray nails it from just inside the half. 24 all. We're all square. Mapimpi then runs back a kick, slicing through the Munster defence. He finds Jaden Hendrickse, but there's a knock on. And yeah, at this stage, we're heading to extra time. And that's what happens. We run out of time into the first half then of extra time. Sharks win a penalty, and there's a debate about what to do. They decided they're going to go up the line rather than kick for the posts. They run the same play that they did for their last try, but Munster handle it pretty well. They go an extra player out because they're not making the ground to Etzebeth, but Kendallin gets over the ball to win a penalty. Sharks then work the ball out wide. nice kick over the top from Mapimpi to Esterhazen, but then Venter passed it forward. Sharks, they're putting on all the pressure. They managed to push Munster off their own put in a scrum. They work it into the 22. They then go back to Hendricks for a drop goal, but he gets charged down, and that's half time in extra time. Into that second half then, Chituka spills a restart. Munster with their first real opportunity of extra time. They get out to scrum quickly, but as they go wide, Haley knocks on. And that was a real chance for them because they had numbers. If that had if he had kept that ball and spun it out wide, I think Munster would have been in from there. Sharks then with a scrum penalty, up the line to go. And you're thinking, can they find a score that's going to win this for them? After they move it, Munster managed to turn it over by creating a maul out of a tackle. And then both teams, the last few minutes of extra time, they're kicking the ball to each other. Neither team, you can see, wants to make a mistake that's going to lose it for them. And Sharks, they overthrow a line out, and then they decide, right, let's just get it off the field and go to the kicking contest and take our chances there. Into the kicking contest itself then, so 6 kicks. They're going to take one centrally on the 22, then one from the left, one from the right. And then they're going to move back to the 10-meter line and repeat the process. So one centre, one right, one left, and you got a kicker for each of those positions. So three kickers from each team, one taking the central kicks, one taking the right kicks, one taking the left kicks. So and the commentary guys are actually a bit confused about exactly how it's going to work or whatever, but eventually they get the right thing of it. But they're the kind of rules that nobody ever looks at until it comes to stuff like this. So we start with the first kick. Jaden Hendricks steps up and he strokes it over from in front. Then he's having a bit of a mouth at Crowley, trying to get in his head. And some people obviously don't like it. For me personally, it's distasteful to me, but I can understand it. It's professional sports. Anything you can do to give your team an edge, professional players are going to do that. So he does that, has a bit of a mouth at him. Crowley, though, slots his kick for Munster. Then Jordan Hendricks strokes his over from the right, and it's out by the 50-meter line. So decent kick from him. Then Scannell steps up, but he sends his kick wide. And from now, the pressure is on Munster from here on out. Then Bradley Davis splits the posts from out on the left. He was brought in with 2 minutes left of the extra time for this reason, to take a kick, and the guy did not let his side down. Conor Murray then follows him over as well. So Munster still one kick behind. Now we move back from the 22 to the 10-meter line. Jaden Hendricks nails his kick before collapsing with cramp. And as he's on the ground getting treated, he gives Crowley a bit of a wink just to annoy him a bit more. And again, may not be something I like, but I'm not going to, pillory him for it, because he's a professional player. He's trying to do everything for his team. And if he can put Crowley off and Crowley misses, then nobody's going to, nobody's going to be docking his pay or anything like that for doing that. So, from his team's point of view, fair play to him. So there's a bit of a delay. Referee finally says, listen, we got to get him out of the way. Crowley then bends his kick in. So Munster still one kick behind. Then we move to the right kicks from the 10-meter line. Jordan Hendricks, again, brilliant kicking, slots his kick. All the pressure on Scannell, but this time he lands it further out, but he lands the kick. Then Bradley Davis with a kick to win it for the Sharks. And, that young man has got ice in his veins, just absolutely nails the kick and sends the Sharks into the semi-final. So huge drama at the end. Brilliant for the Sharks. Obviously heartbreak for Munster. You think about, the likes of Scannell there was on his 200 appearance for them. You had Peter Manny. That's his last game now for Munster. Conor Murray, the same. and for them, yeah, it's heartbreak, but there had to be a winner and a loser in this, and it was going to be cruel on whoever it was. So if Munster had been the winners, you would have been talking about, the brilliant players on the Sharks side, like the likes of Ethan Hooker, who got player of the match. Imagine him putting in that performance and then being on the losing side as well in a quarterfinal. When basically with the kicks, he had absolutely no chance to affect the outcome of that as well. So, fantastic for the Sharks. Last year, they won the Challenge Cup. This year, they've been focusing on the URC, so they got themselves into a semi-final now. We're going to look at the stats, and then we'll come back and talk about the teams a little bit more. So let me pull the stats up here on the official site. So let's go there. Okay, so we got our stats up now. So first of all, on attack, 3 tries each, and that was key, because if the game had ended even at the end of that extra time period and one team has scored more tries than the other, that team would have gone through. We wouldn't have had the kicks to decide the winner in the end. Possession then 60% to 40% for the Sharks, and a lot of that was through kind of the second half when they were coming back at Munster, and then the extra time period as well. Clean breaks 10-8, and the Sharks, 42 defenders beaten for those 10 clean breaks, so 1 in 4 conversion. Munster 16 for their 8, so 1 in 2 conversion. So first of all, Sharks, not doing so well in terms of finding those breaks after beating a defender, but Munster scrambling well. Then offloads 9 each. Both teams, looking to keep that ball alive. Towards the end, though, there was, obviously, the legs were a bit tired and stuff. There weren't as many offloads in the extra time period. Territory then 65% to 35 for the Sharks. Another key stat there, because it meant the Sharks, towards the end of normal time and for most of the extra time period as well, they were in the Munster half, and it felt like, for them, it was a case of, finding the winner, getting a penalty or wherever it was to win the game, rather than Munster Munster were really the team that were not really hanging on, but they were the team that, were kind of conscious, don't give away a penalty, and also not having as much threat down the other end as well. So, again, the pressure on them. Number of tackles, 101 to 192. Then missed tackles, 16 to 42. So 78% tackle success each, which for a regular URC game was poor, but for a knockout game was actually pretty good. Turnovers 1-4 each. So you can see how even these teams were and why it needed, kicks to decide it in the end. And then for the regular kicks retained, 6 for the Sharks, 7 for Munster. Both teams looking to get that edge, with the contestable kicks in the air, but both teams with brilliant players under the high ball as well. Penalties conceded then, 6 for the Sharks, 13 for Munster. Munster's problem really was that scrum, and that was what edged the penalties certainly in the Sharks' favour there as well. On to players then. So Hendrickson with 9 points in the game, and Crowley with 6. Ethan Hooker and Kilgannon with a try each, but obviously each of the 3 try scorers got a try each as well. Then successful carries, Andre Esterhazen with 10. Brilliant guy to have in the centre. Like, he always gets you go forward. And this may be a bit of sacrilege, and maybe I'll get a bit of heat from some Sharks or Springboks fans for this, but I think personally for the Sharks, I'm not saying for the Springboks, but for the Sharks, Ethan Hooker and Esterhazen are their best centre combination this season. I know they have Am as like an absolutely like world-class centre, but as a partnership, I think Hooker and Esterhazen have been their best pairing in there. But Hooker is so good, you can play him anywhere pretty much across your back line. And the guy is going to be one of the best players on the pitch, and he proved that tonight as well. But yeah, people might take shots at me for this, but I think those two as a combination just absolutely, complement each other in that midfield. And I'd like to see more of them together there as well next season. Then we had Kilgallen with 4 good, successful carries for Munster as well. Clean breaks, Mapimpi with 4 and Nash with 3. The wings for both teams, again, just getting to that edge, making those breaks, and, for the Sharks, it was the handling errors were the problems, really. The Brennans beaten then Hooker with 10 and Kilgallen with 5 meters made. Mapimpi, 163 meters. That is amazing. Kilgallen 73 is pretty good, but 163 is just absolutely crazy. Offloads then, Am with 2 and Coombs with 5. Coombs, some strong carries, but, I felt in the extra time period for Munster, it really was like a defensive effort. We weren't seeing as much of him carrying the ball and stuff. Then onto defence. Number of tackles, Venter with 11, Scannell with 21, coming off the bench, making a ton of tackles, brilliant in that regard. Turnovers, 1 then with Mapimpi and Nash with 1 each. So you can see again, once the stats say 1 each, that everyone, every turnover that was won was by an individual player. Okay, so those are our stats. Let's talk about the teams again. So let's start with Munster. So Munster, they came into the kind of the last few rounds of the season in not brilliant form. They were struggling in their line out. They had problems at scrum time. Their attack wasn't firing. Then they started to get things going a bit. They fixed their line-out issues for the most part. They still had some issues in this game, but certainly not as much as they had in previous games. But the scrum was a big Achilles heel in this game and really denied them, some field position and stuff, because anytime there was a scrum, almost Sharks were winning a penalty and we were going up into the Munster half. So that's definitely something they're going to have to fix for next season. The attack, looking better now, like Kilgallen, that they brought in from Connacht. He was brilliant at Connacht. He's been brilliant for Munster as well. So, hopefully Munster can keep him fit and keep him going there as well, because himself and Nash on the wings really are a really good dual threat for them. And then you have Abrams in there as well, in that back 3, and those 3 guys, together, just absolutely brilliant for Munster in terms of, they all want to run the ball back and they all want to support the guy running it back as well. And that's what you need if you want to play the way Munster, have ambitions to play as well. As I said, we got some of the legends of Munster rugby, the likes of Peter Manny, Conor Murray, etc., playing their last game for Munster in this one. So wish them all the best for the future. I think Munster did well to get themselves back into contention in for the knockouts by beating Benetton in that kind of winner-takes-all game down in Cork in the last regular round. And, they really gave this one a go. They got a really good start to the game, but as the game went on and the scrum struggles kind of, got worse and worse for them, they found it very hard to get in position. And when you felt like they were playing for the extra time and the kicks, not that they necessarily maybe felt like they were going to win it, just that they didn't have, enough in the tank to be able to get up the field and get a score that would win it either in regular time or in extra time. But they can feel, I think, proud of their efforts from where they were, a month or so ago in the league to be able to get up there and compete well. They did well in Europe this year compared to previous years as well. So, there's definitely something there for them to build on. They need to get a permanent coach in there as well. Whether it's going to be Costello or whether somebody else is going to come in, we'll have to see. But yeah, there's something at least for them to build on, like the other beaten quarterfinals this year, but like beaten quarterfinalists from previous years, we know from experience that not every team is going to build on. Some are going to go backwards, some are going to stay relatively around the same position, and some are going to kick on. So, Munster, they're going to have to work hard to beat it, the team that actually kicks on from there. Onto the Sharks then. So I've talked about this before, how, comparing these two teams, I think this Munster team are better than the sum of the parts. If you look at player for player, the Sharks absolutely have the better individual players, right? But Munster can rise above kind of the individuals. Whereas the Sharks, you look at their team, you look at all the talent in it, and they're less than the sum of their parts. You put those same players in a Springbok jersey and they run through brick walls. They're absolutely amazing, world beaters, world champions. But in a Sharks jersey, they often disappoint. Tonight, though, they didn't. They really put themselves about, the likes of Etzebeth. We had Lukanyuan was on there as well. Both Hendrickses, as I said, Hooker, Esterhazen, Pimpy, absolutely brilliant as well there. And then like the front row, just absolutely eating Munster for breakfast in the scrum as well. So, some really positives for them. It's going to be a hell of a contest in the scrum as well next week, when they go to the Bulls. And just that as well, that presence for them to be able to, they fell behind, and Munster had a decent lead at one point, but Sharks dragged themselves back into the game. They got ahead. Munster squared it, obviously, but then Sharks, they were there trying to win the game in the extra time. It didn't happen for them, but they're just brilliant from the kicks as well. Didn't miss a single kick in that shootout, and that, both Hendrickses and Davids as well. Three brilliant kickers who handled the pressure of the occasion and really delivered. So really well done to the Sharks. But my worry is that you look at this game, you think, okay, the Sharks are the winners. But when we go on to next week, maybe the true winners of this game are going to be the Bulls, because the Sharks are going to have not only that extra 20 minutes in their legs when, lungs are burning and people are cramping up, etc., but also all that tension and then the release from the shootout as well at the end too. So that's going to have an effect on the Sharks players as well. So, my worry for the Sharks is that the Bulls are actually going to be the team that benefit most from what happened in this game. But let me know what you think down in the comments.